On this AVNation special, we preview the XUSC, the Experience United Social Club event happening during New York Digital Signage Week. We talk with Chris Netto, Brian Mazzaros, and a host of others about connecting in the real world and how events like this can help your business. All that and more. Next on this AVNation special.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is an AVNation special, Experiencing Social. This is an AVNation special. My name is Tim Albright. I'm your host. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about the XUSC, the Experience United Social Club. It's a gathering of AV brand experience, marketing, and design professionals. This time it's happening in New York again. Happened a year ago during New York Digital Signage Week. This time is also during New York Digital Signage Week. This is their fourth event. Brian Mazzaros can correct me if I'm wrong on this. This time it's happening at Houston Hall, October 15th from 6 to 8. You can register for that at openeyeglobal.com. With me to talk about it, first and foremost, is Mr. Brian Mazzaros from Open Eye Global.
Hey, Tim. How's it going?
Oh, it's Friday, so let's just start there. Also,
it's ready for a beer.
I know you and me both. Speaking, we'll have one in a second. SageNet is Ivy Dixon. Welcome, sir.
Hello.
Mr. Jeffrey Weitzman from Navori. How are you?
Thank you, Tim. I'm doing well.
Awesome. Travis Peterson from Snap Install. How are you, sir?
Hey, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Last but not least, it feels like I've already done this. Mr. Chris Netto from Starin. How are you?
Hey, Tim, thank you for having me. And all I can hear is Cher in my head telling me if we can turn back time.
We can turn back time.
Thank you.
We're recording this on a Friday. Some of us may have already had beverages. I have not because I'm the responsible one. But what we're going to talk about today is the XUSC. And Brian, you're the one who started this a year ago. So simple question is what on earth were you thinking a year ago? What was the whole thought process behind the original XUSC?
It's I think it really kind of came about after going to one too many atypical networking events. I think it's in part. I mean, we create experiences. We're experience agency, and we network with all different walks of life, all different disciplines, and I always kind of struggled to try to find those networking events where it would be designers and AV people and fabricators and everyone together. And it just seemed like it was always a struggle to try to find that kind of experience. And so really this idea of try to find a way to pull different disciplines together, but do it in a manner that was more authentic and it was more intriguing and attractive, and do it to where there's an experience built around it. So, we started this last year, and we did this at a really cool brewery over in Red Hook. And it was just one of those places where it was out of the way. It was the word authentic again, but it was like when you got there, like, yeah, this is just something right about this. This is where I would want to go. And these are the kind of people I'd want to hang out with because we all collaborate and it's just a comfortable environment. And ever since then, every event has had a bit of a theme and experience, but it wasn't faked. It wasn't, oh, let's get together at Fridays and Hard Rock Cafe and Dave and Buster's again. It's like none of that crap. It was more, let's go somewhere that's, we'd all want to go and hang out with. And this year, we settled on Houston Hall and we're doing Oktoberfest. Why? Because it's October and it's a place in New York City that is away from Times Square, and it's just a fun place to hang out at. There's a great group that's going to be there, and we all, at the end of the day, are we all need to collaborate and network with one another, and that's the setup for XUSC. It's this idea of being rebels, that to hell with the normal ways of networking, and we're gonna go somewhere that's just cool, fun, and meet people that we should be talking to.
Well, Ivy, I'll bring you on this of SageNet, and not for nothing, all of us here are in some way, shape, or form, sponsors of this event. What do you guys get out of it from SageNet or you personally when it comes to connecting with folks in real time, in real space? that helps with the job, right? With the next job on your day 2 and day 3, as you are, making connections, but also making plans for the next gig.
Yeah, I think day 2 is is so important to what SageNet does, but it's important because when you bring a group like this together, we all do work together. We all get on conference calls. We all are working with customers, and you may or may not know the person on the other end of the phone, and you may or may not know them well enough to have a relationship with them where whether it's going well or it's not going well, you need to have those real conversations about what's going on. And unfortunately in this world, sometimes projects don't go as planned. And when they don't go as planned, these types of events really allow us to open that door and pick up the phone or have a video conference and be able to know the person on the other end, because we're not walking around and just meeting other people in the industry. As Brian said, we're having this authentic kind of off the plan experience to say, who are these folks? Who are our partners, right? Who are the real people that we're working with to make these experiences happen, to make these customer journeys happen? And I think a big portion of it is there's a lot of people who don't always take into account all the parties that have to be involved to make a project really work right, especially on day 2 and beyond. So this type of event really allowed us to step into a place where we could talk to folks about that, but also to deepen those relationships with the folks that we're in the battle trenches with. And how do we make that a better experience for everybody in the long run?
All right, Travis, I'll bring you in on this part here. Ivy and I were talking about day 2. Let's talk about day 1, getting that business, right? Getting connections to help start those conversations. How do events like this in a more relaxed environment help with that?
Yeah, I would call this event, Brian does a really good job, and I'd say describe it in 3 ways: comfortable, genuine, collaboration. So it brings everyone together in an event where we've all been to the events where you got to mind your P's and Q's, and here you don't have to as much, and that makes me feel more comfortable, but I think it also makes everyone else feel more comfortable in the room, because you're having the genuine conversations and the real people are coming out, and you also have a purpose. It's not an event just to come and have beers and socialize. It's to actually talk about what's going on in our industry and how we can learn from each other, and then at the same time make sure we're respecting each other's perspectives on everything. And we learn so much when we get in front of our customers and when we get in front of other people in the industry, and being in an atmosphere like this, we're more comfortable, and making sure the people we're talking to are more comfortable, and that goes a long way for Snap.
Jeffrey, as from Navoria, as far as you guys are concerned, and everybody here, what kind of connections are you able to make in events like this that's going to able to help you, the next day or the next week?
So this event represents a great opportunity for us to meet colleagues, customers, acquaintances in a more casual setting where we could really be ourselves and get to know one another. And that actually helps drive business, and it helps to develop those relationships and nourish those relationships into something more significant than just a buy and sell type of partnership. That's important to us. Navori is a company that prides ourselves on building best in breed digital signage software. But being a great manufacturer, to really be able to do that, you also have to provide a great service to your customers. And to do that, you have to know your customers, and you also have to know the ecosystem that those customers live and play in. And this is a great opportunity for us to become a part of that and influence that ecosystem. So we enjoy this type of event quite a bit.
All right, Mr. I'll bring you on this. When it comes to events like this, you and I have talked about, connecting with people online, but also connecting in person. How do you translate that? This is the XUSC, part of that is the social part. Connecting, how do you translate that connection online to an event like this where you're absolutely, in real space?
For me, I use these events to step out from behind the digital world. I mean, I spend 24/7 basically doing, either chats or Twitters or LinkedIn's and all that sort of stuff. So for me, the ability to actually show who I am and who I really am, from a business perspective, right? I'm the same guy who's online. Yes, I'm that nerd, right? I do, bring that nerdy conversation that I had on the computer. I do bring it into real life. The difference is, I may drop a football reference or a movie reference in there because that's who I am. When you get those connections, that's where these events really shine, right? And unlike other, some people refer to them as flea markets, where you got, the tables around the end, and you walk into a beer hall. That's great, you're at a beer hall, but first you got to walk through this fortress of tables to navigate around, and that's all great. That's not what Brian created. Brian did not create a maze that you have to navigate through. He made it very open. He made it very, very for everyone, even so by who he invites and how he invites these people, right? These are open invitations. They're out there. There's only so many people that can get in because Houston Hall can only get so much. And I find irony in the fact that he purposely is saying to us that he doesn't want it at Times Square.
Yeah.
That's BS, Brian, because that's where all of our advertising is. And that's a good way to show some of the stuff that we do sell and install. So thank you for knocking us down. The other thing I'd like to bring up,
so I'm here for, buddy.
You are putting did you purposely go out and find the most low-tech place to have this? And bring in somebody who plays an accordion that can't even be plugged in. I mean, seriously, dude. I mean,
and a tuba.
And a tuba. Out on this one.
And a tuba.
Okay, so for us as sponsors, here's the challenge. You get a no-tech hall. You got no connections. Wi-Fi probably sucks. You're in and out of 4G. You're in a bad spot in New York. Talk. Right. This is what Brian wants. Brian wants us to talk. Brian wants handshakes. He doesn't want us collecting business cards looking for that the Brian Mazzaro's rookie card, which is, I have one, and it's a laser cut limited edition.
And if it's signed, it's worth less to you.
But anyway, you get the point. He really wants this to come back to a very, very analog way of doing business. And I only say that making fun of the digital because we live in the digital every day. So what he wants is these personal connections to happen. And if it wasn't for those personal connections, we probably wouldn't all be standing here, because he also went out. If you notice, all these people that are sitting here is all people that he has networked through previous engagements such as these. So we believe in this, which is kind of the point, right?
Yeah, and this is the reason. I think there's two things there. One is he's networked all of this together because without it, we're not going to get business done, let alone get to the fourth event of XUSC. Right? This dies on the vine in October if we don't have this type of aspect of something new, something different. But also, Chris, listening to your commentary, as important as OEMs are in the market space, this is not an OEM event, right? This is not a place where OEMs, and Jeff, my apologies, you're close to a manufacturer, but I mean, in reality, there's more life to it, right? We're not talking, this is, and no offense to our screen and mount manufacturer friends, because they're doing a very, very important job in this industry. But when they sponsor an event, we're expected to go and see that event, right? We're expected to go see their technology. We're expected to hear from their partners and their manufacturing group. That's not what this is about. This is about coming together and talking to people who are feet on the street each day, like Travis and team. It's great designers like Picanza and Brian at the OpenEye side, and it's great software in Jeff and Chris, your distribution side of the world, but also Chris and Tim both together being this idea of who's talking about what in the industry. This is not an OEM discussion. This is a connection of people, and I think that's what's really important with this event.
Well, I mean, exactly what you're saying, Ivy, on this conversation is that we all actually will benefit from this sort of stuff. Somebody like Jeff, who is a manufacturer per se, I don't distribute his product, but I want to get to know who the product is. And that, if I get to sit down and actually hear what the product is, he's more likely to tell me some good stuff about the differentiator, as opposed to sitting in a lunch and learn, right? Where you're going to get a PowerPoint presentation and the static of, hey, this is what I got to get through. Give me the 15 minutes and then you can eat your bagel. I mean, that's kind of where, we're at in terms of, presentations, right? Mm-hmm. This here is different. It feels different. It's a networking event, which Brian wraps. Basically, as it says in the title, there's a social in the title for a reason. I deal in social media on a daily basis. I like to bring social into the media equation a lot. Brian's actually doing that here. So kudos to you, man, for doing that sort of stuff. And thank you again for being an awesome party planner.
And to Chris's point, just to emphasize that as a manufacturer, we do more than our share of what I'll call standard trade shows or what we're calling flea market type shows, where we have a tabletop or even a large booth where we're able to showcase all of our product. And, the objective is everyone who visits, we want to show, talk about us. But this is a different type of event, which is actually quite refreshing, where the focus is actually on the other person. So when I meet someone, I want to know more about them. I want to try to understand their contribution to the space and how perhaps Navori or even myself can get to know them, can contribute and help to build a partnership and a relationship that obviously will eventually drive business for the company. But it's a new approach and a new way that isn't necessarily product first, it's person first. And that's that can bring a lot of different type of value that you don't get at a typical trade show. So it's a nice type of event to be a part of.
I think just to add on to what Jeff said too, I mean, the other part that I think is cool is that, we have some really good organizational support out there too. We have, Digital Signage Federation is supporting it. And we also have the SUGD crew, which is supporting it, which is nice because it's a collaboration. It's designers that are coming in. It's actual people that are working on these projects that, need to collaborate with Snap and Sage and Navori and, all the guys. I mean, they're the ones that are at the front line too. So it's not just, I like that too, because it's not just everyone in the industry, it's different industries. And it's just a gathering of that. And so it makes it even more appealing and just cool to go to, because you can be, talking to a fabricator one time, turn around the corner and there's a designer working on a museum project. And that's the kind of evening that it's going to be. And you turn around the corner, you grab a broad and you run into a tuba player. So, hey, it can go a lot of different directions here.
Well,
That doesn't happen all the time.
there are going to be a number of manufacturers there too. I mean, the sponsors of this is Daktronics, SageNet, Navori, Legrand, Snap Install, Vixa will be there as well. Starin, us. Brian, kind of give us a sense. This is the fourth event you said. Give me a cross section or the average person, the melting pot here. Who exactly are we going to run into? You kind of went through the different ones, but when you walk into that place, what would you tell somebody who's coming to this event? What's the first type of person, or what would you say? Do you go up to the bar and grab a beer and talk to that first person there, or how would you approach this event?
I would say you're going to go into an environment where you're not going to know everyone. It's not going to be that kind of industry event. You will see faces that you've never seen before, and you need to say hi. And it's a comfortable. I mean, everyone is there because they have something to do with building an experience, and I think it's your, not to say job, but it's your opportunity to understand what their involvement is. What role do they play? And you might strike up a conversation with a designer and maybe feel like you don't know what to talk to them about, but at the center of it, you're talking about an experience. And it's, what aspect and what role do you play? And I'll guarantee you there's a compliment. I mean, because we all have to interact with those kind of agencies. They have to, on the reverse, they have to interact with us as technology designers and providers and fabricators. We need each other. And that's what I say is the makeup. But it's nice because you will always have a different conversation, I think, for each person throughout the evening.
Yeah. Trevor's going to bring on this, Brian and Ivy and Chris mentioned this, that the authenticity of this event. How important is it to make sure that as you're coming into this event, and as Brian said, you're not going to know everybody. is to make sure that you maintain that authenticity, both internal for yourself, but also for your company and the company you're representing.
Well, so many people can talk the talk, but it's about walking the walk as well. And this, what I love so much about this event is the sales aspect is really taken out. Now, we might get new business from it, and hopefully we do, but we aren't going there with our sales caps on. We're going there to collaborate, and you'd be amazed at what you get from conversations when you take that sales cap off, just to learn and educate yourself from their perspective. And last year alone, we learned that at the event. So being genuine, making sure if you're talking the talk, and this ties into day two, whatever you're saying, and you have to deliver on that, especially from our side as a service provider. We are providing the end touch to the final touch that's going to come from the project. So it's so important that what we're saying, we actually can deliver on, and we're under promising, over delivering every time. And that ties into that.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting about that commentary, but also just the idea of authenticity, is, you know, we've all talked about this tabletop environment, the flea market environment, we joke about rookie business cards. We've all been there, right? And ironically, I met Tony Green, one of Travis's partners, at an event very similar to this, but in the basement of a room where I did not know everybody, and I happened to turn around and Tony was there and I didn't know him, and we shook hands, and 5 years later we're doing business. Not knowing everybody is actually part of the beauty of this, because the event is not enormous. The event is not 3,000 people where you don't know everybody. It's a few hundred people where you want to know everybody and you don't. So there's a good reason to walk up to everybody and shake their hand. And some people, they're people you've known for a decade, and there's other people that you've just met during the week, and there's people there that you've never seen before. In a group of a couple hundred, or 150 or so, you can do that. When you go to these monster events where there's 3,000 people, or a big, the quote unquote flea market type event, you're never going to meet everybody. You're also probably not going to have very many authentic conversations about what you do and why you do it. I think that's the other piece of this. Last year I joked with Brian, and I think many people did. We showed up and it was costume party, and Brian's there in a Cookie Monster costume. I think what actually was great about that was him standing at the door there. It set the tone for the evening. You're there to have fun. You're there to have a good time, but you're also there to actually figure out, what do I like about this? What do I not like about this? And have a real conversation. And the real conversations are the biggest piece of the puzzle in business that I think we fail at, because we're always worried about what tomorrow comes. What's the paperwork look like? How do we get business done? By the way, we're all in business for a good reason, and we do that. But this is an opportunity to step back from that a little bit and have a more personal conversation about, why do we do what we do? Why do we love it? Or why do we hate it? Right? And what's the in-betweens? So I think that's a big part of that.
I'll add to that. This is the event where you send your A-team. And I'll be specific on that, is that we're all dancing around the 900-pound gorilla in the room, is that we all understand, because we're obviously sponsors of this, we all understand that, you don't sell product just on glossies anymore, right? In order to really build up that partnership, it's an event like this where you're going to make that first connection. Yeah. That it may not happen that night. It may not happen the following day. Though if you ask anybody, they wish they can get a PO the next day. I'm an equipment distributor. I have equipment that I need to sell. I would love to have a PO the next day. But the fact is that after meeting me and connecting, where can we take this relationship next, right? So it's people, when I say refer to it as the A-team, you send the people that can really build on that relationship. If you're going to send, if people are going to show up that are dry, salty dogs that just don't understand how that works, man, this may not be the event for you. But you don't need to also be intoxicated to make this happen. You can do business, and be smart about it. And I think that ultimately what we're going to get out of this is if it's not a second, third meeting already that we are possibly going through because we've been at these events before, or walking out of there with, a design on a back of a napkin, we're definitely walking out of there with at least one or two key people that we have felt really comfortable with, that we're going to move forward. And you could see that relationship starting to bud. And for us, it's not a big, because it's not 3,000 people, you're not casting a wide net. You're not out there trolling for cod, man. You're trying to just pick up what you can, and get to connect with people on a different level. And that's the only way you're going to do it. You're not going to do it on email, phone, forget about it. We're all trying to do it on video, right? But in person, right? And talking about, the fact that, why does Chris have a redacted shirt on? And why does Tim have blue frame glasses when nobody else in the room does? It's little things like that that we pick up on that you'll never forget. So, leave it to Cookie Monster to figure it out how to get it done.
Right.
We're definitely heading down the right path.
Just as the answer is because I'm getting old. That's why.
Listen, we didn't get the side profile to see the thickness there.
There you go. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Thank you all so much for giving me some of your time on a Friday afternoon. Mr. Brian Mazzaros, thank you, buddy.
Thanks, Tim. I really appreciate it. Thanks, everyone, too, for being part of it.
Absolutely. How do people get a hold of you, get a hold of OpenEye Global, and more importantly, how do they sign up for this event if they're going to be in New York?
Yeah, so if you just go to openeyeglobal.com, you'll see all things about OpenEye. There'll also be a link off the website, too, for the event, or you can go to experienceunitedsocialclub.com, and there'll be the registration link there. And honestly, on all our social handles too, you will find a link for it as well. Plus, also the Digital Signage Week website as well has it on there too from Daily Do.
Very cool. Also with us, Mr. Travis Peterson. Thank you, sir, from Snap Install.
Yeah, Tim, thanks so much for having me. And Brian, also thank you for putting this on again.
How do people get a hold of you or Snap Install, sir?
snap-install.com, and you can also reach us via phone 888-353-6529.
Very good. Jeffrey Weitzman from Navori. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So to get a hold of Navori, check out Navori.com. Lots of great content and videos. We've also got a link under our events section where you can sign up for the Oktoberfest. So feel free to visit us and give us a call. We look forward to hearing from you.
Very good. Ivy Dixon from SageNet. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Tim, and thank you, Brian. Looking forward to the event. You can find us at sagenet.com. You can also find us on Instagram at SageNet LLC or SageViewDS.
And last and certainly not least, Mr. Chris Netto from Starin Marketing. Thank you, sir.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. How do people find you if they're so inclined?
If they want to find me, they can find me at starin.biz. That's the company I work for. They are the sponsor, one of the sponsors for this event. You can find them on Twitter at Starin_MKG. You can find me on Twitter at Chris_Netto. And you can find Tim Albright on Twitter as well, because he'll probably tell you not to follow him.
All right. Yeah, Chris, you're right. That for me, for Tim Albright, don't follow me. But for AVNation, go to the website, avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv. You'll find this program and a host of others, including our brand new digital signage show called Digital Signage Digest. AV Week and a whole lot more. All that and more at avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv.